The Netherlands is sending Joost Klein to Eurovision 2024 in Malmö with Europapa. It's quite edgy, it's quite funky, but will Europapa be getting behind this one? Let's review Eurovision. Yes, so it's a new year, it's a new Eurovision season, and it's a new season of reviews here on Review Eurovision. Welcome back. We're going to start this year with one of the big fan favourites, and it's certainly one of the bookies' favourites as well. The Netherlands they only hosted it a few years ago, but they could win twice in pretty quick succession if the bookies and fans are to be believed. Europapa is their song this year. It's quite energetic, it's quite mad. Joost Klein is the Dutch entrant. Let's have a little listen. Welkom in Europa, blijf hier tot ik dood ga. Europa-pa, 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 Right, it was quite manic. Every clip of the song, frankly, is quite manic. But what do we think of it? Welcome back, Emily.
Hello, it's nice to be back. I really enjoy this one. I mean, when the first kind of opening note, I'm like, oh my God, is this kind of 2007 Bass Hunter? And he's going, Europe. I'm here for it. I just find it really fun. And I think it actually at the moment it probably has kind of a bit of a message that will kind of resonate. And I was almost kind of surprised at how much kind of, you know, Eurovision loves to say it's not political, and obviously it is, but there's the sheer content of kind of EU flags in the video. I was quite surprised. But the actual song itself, it's so energetic. I think in the kind of run up to the competition and all the kind of pre-shows, the fans will just go absolutely feral. And yeah, I'm not sure I see it as a winner because I think the juries will not be overly keen, but it's absolutely a kind of televote winner for sure.
It's interesting. I'm not sure I would rule out the juries getting behind it because remember Finland last year came fourth, got like 150 points or something. So there is a jury space for this sort of quite frenetic, not necessarily vocal heavy song. But I think I'm not sure if it's a televote winner because there's a few, as we'll discuss over the course of the series, there are a few songs that are competing for this, like this year's Cha 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 type title. There's Croatia, there's a few. So I don't know if it's a winner per se. The song itself, though, it's grown on me. I'm a bit down this year generally because I think there are too many crazy songs. If there's one bad thing that Cha 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 has left us with, it's too many countries trying to send something a bit crazy, and it's a mix
kind of replicate that kind of success. I mean, there's only really ever room in the competition for kind of two, three.
Exactly. Three
of that type, and there's yeah, it feels like there's a lot more this year.
Yeah, and I think it's a mix of the influence of that, but also because, and we warned about this last year, the fact that the semi-finals are now televote only means there are more countries actually trying to get into the final with a slightly crazy one. But the fact that there are more crazy, I call them crazies. Obviously, this does, as you say, this does have a very political message as well. But in the terms of the energy, the sort of the eccentricness of it, that's what I mean by crazy. The fact that there are a few more crazy entries than normal means it might well split the vote. And that's why I'm not convinced. We'll get to how well we think it's going to do in a moment. But as I was saying before that long tangent, I'm a bit down on this year because I'm not a big fan of these crazy songs generally. And when I first heard this, I hated it, absolutely hated it. I thought, what is this mess? His face was just annoying when he does that sort of gurn thing. It irritates me.
See, that is interesting because I was kind of the time I heard it, I wasn't quite on board. And so I wonder then if people actually just watching it for the first time would also then have that reaction as well. I mean, obviously, you know, super fans like us and will kind of listen to it and go, oh wait, yeah, no, it's all kind of making sense now. But for people who just kind of watch the contest for the first time on the night, will it resonate as much as it kind of does with people who, you know, listen to it more than once, basically?
Yeah, I'm not convinced it will, especially when you've got this is in Dutch and you've got the other big crazy rival is Croatia, and that is all in English. And that's not to say that songs in English don't always do very well, because I mean Cha 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 was in Finnish and people still went nuts for that. But I just think if the what is interesting about this and why it has grown on me is because the political message is so subtly weaved through it, but it's also a very, very powerful one. And that has only come to me with listens and once I've actually gone out of my way to find out what the lyrics are in English because I don't speak Dutch. And that's the problem, that it kind of is relying on the energy and the crazy costumes to actually sell it, when really it needs a bit more than that to actually get it over the line and do very well. So I'm not, this is not my favorite Dutch entry by any means. It has grown on me a lot, and I think of the crazies, again, to use that grouping that are in it this year, I think this probably has the best shot of winning. I don't think it is a winner, but I think, oh, this is, the close. This is, if there's only going to be one in the top five, I think it's probably this. But it's certainly not my cup of tea, I don't think.
Well, there we are. I can't remember which semi-final it's in.
It's in the second semi-final. As we are currently recording this, we're a few hours away from finding out when the running order is. So we know it's in the second half of the second semi-final, but we don't know yet, as time of recording, where it will be going. I suspect it will be a quite loud show closer, but I mean, famous, I suppose we'll see quite soon. Where do we think it is gonna end up? Will it qualify? How well do you think it'll do in the final?
For me, it's an obvious qualifier. I think it's probably top 8. I don't quite want to go top 10 or top 5. I think between kind of 5th and maybe 8th, basically, is where I think it's going to kind of end up. In terms of my kind of personal ranking, well, rank out of 10, I'm a 9. I'm a big fan. I'm bopping away. Yeah.
I mean, that's quite generous, I think. I like how specific.
Don't worry, it's not consistent. I'm not consistently generous across the board. We've just actually started off on one that I do quite like.
I think, to be fair, we started off on Finland last year, and you gave that one a 9, I think, and then you regretted not giving it a 10 later on.
Yeah.
From memory. I love how specific you are with the top 8. I kind of agree with you. I think the most likely place it will end up is somewhere between 5th and 8th. There are scenarios where I can see this finishing in the top 5 because I think the televote will get behind it, and I think the juries aren't going to hate it as much as I think they would have hated it a few years ago. I think they're a bit more tolerant of it. I don't see it as a winner yet, and we're still 6 or 7 weeks out from Eurovision. I don't see it as a winner yet. It might, with the pre-parties, grow on me. I don't know. And I'm gonna plug this like mad as well. I am actually going to the second semi-final this year. I managed to get resale tickets, and I am going to be there. So I will see this live. And I think this will be a bit like Finland last year. This will be the one that gets the arena going. This will be, I think, the one that goes viral this year. So I think it's going to sail out of the semi-final. If it performs last, which we'll find out in a few hours, I could see it winning the semi-final, frankly. I think it's, as I say, sort of, I'll echo you, 5th to 8th, probably, final prediction. So yeah, it's not my favorite Dutch entry in the world. It's certainly not my worst, but it's moving up how much I like it, to the extent that I'm probably going to give it a 6.
Gosh. God, I think we have different expectations of how we're going to rank stuff.
Yeah,
my 6s are just kind of, I'm a bit meh.
Yeah, it is a bit meh, but I mean, it's entertaining. But there are fun ones. I mean, without spoiling other rankings, like I don't like Croatia at all. We'll get to that in a different video. But of the sort of the slightly crazier ones, Estonia I love, and we'll see that I will rank that much higher than 6. I just think it's not a genre that I quite like. And Cha 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 last year sort of was on the cusp of what I thought was tolerable, and in the end I quite liked it. But I just think it's good, but that's what a 6 is for.
Well, there we are.
Do you want to say the outro?
Oh, go on then. Okay. That's it from our first video back this year. Thank you very much for watching. And we'll see you next time. Sorry,
You
I
forgot
forgot
to
to do
do
all
the plugs. You've got to plug. We're in podcast form. Like,
Right, yes.
subscribe,
Okay,
do all of that
okay.
shit.
And so if you don't have a screen in front of you, you can access us in podcast form wherever you get your podcast. Just search for Eurovision, and you can, of course, follow us on Instagram. I will have a lovely new theme for this year, and nice little pretty graphics. We'll see when we upload new content. But thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.